As you listen to these words in your mind, or maybe just feel them settling in, you might begin to wonder, where did fears really come from? Did you create them, or were they given to you? Because long ago, before you feared speaking, you spoke freely. Long before you ever doubted yourself, you simply acted. Before someone made you believe there was a right way or a wrong way, you just expressed yourself. But something happened, a moment, a look, a word. And the mind, in its infinite capacity to protect you, created a rule. A rule that once served you, but doesn't anymore. And right now you begin to realise it was never your fear to begin with. I might not know what to say, but who decides what needs to be said? I might make a mistake. What if mistakes are just stepping stones to mastery? I might sound foolish, and yet the most charismatic people in the world own their uniqueness completely. And if that's true, then isn't it time to release these outdated beliefs? Because the mind that created them is the mind that can rewrite them. And as you think about that now, as that understanding sinks in, you might begin to notice something shifting, something dissolving, something being released. Owning the frame, owning your power. What if you never had to perform again? What if you could just walk into an interview, a conversation, a room, and instead of hoping to impress, simply be the most powerful presence in it? What if instead of trying to get it right, you simply held the frame so strongly that people naturally followed your lead? Because people, they don't follow perfection, they follow certainty. And as you feel that realization deep in your core, you might already sense the shift. A deep knowing that you don't need their approval. You never did. Because the moment you own your space, you shift the energy in the room. And people don't just listen, they feel you. The power of presence. You don't need to think faster. You don't need to say more. You don't need to analyse every word before you speak. Because the moment you slow down, the world leans in. The moment you breathe, pause, and allow the silence, people feel the gravity of your presence. And that is when they listen. Because real confidence, it isn't about saying more. It's about owning every word you say. What if you could step into that version of yourself right now? That version of you who no longer hesitates. That version of you who no longer doubts. That version of you who owns the moment completely. And as you imagine that version of yourself, feeling it now, becoming it now, you might begin to realise this is not something you have to learn. This is who you already are. And as that understanding sinks in, as you feel it taking root, you already know the next time you walk into an interview, you won't be the same person who walked in before. Because that old version of you, that version no longer exists. And the moment you realise that fully, everything changes. The transformation is already happening. You don't need to try. You just need to allow it. When you think about it, it's exciting to know that the shift has already begun. Because there was a time when you didn't even know what fear was. You spoke freely. You asked questions. You made mistakes without hesitation. And yet, somewhere along the way, someone taught you to fear. A look, a reaction, a moment you can't quite remember. And your mind, in its infinite wisdom, created that rule. A rule that once protected you, but now only holds you back. But what if that rule was never real? What if the idea that you could ever say the wrong thing was simply an illusion? Because when you really think about it, who decides what's right to say? Who made you believe that you had to perform instead of just being yourself? Who made you think that mistakes were something to fear instead of the key to mastery? Because the truth is, People don't follow perfection. They follow presence. They follow certainty. They follow the person who owns their space. And if you're beginning to feel something shifting inside you now, that's because you're remembering who you really are. What if you never had to prepare for an interview again? What if you simply walked in as you are and let them step into your world? Because here's the secret. The person who controls the frame controls the conversation. And the person who controls the conversation controls the outcome. So, what if you stopped trying to get it right and instead assumed they already like you? What if, instead of thinking about what to say, you simply felt the moment and spoke from it? What if you didn't have to impress them, because deep down, they already want you? And as you think about that now, as you let that realization settle deep inside, you might already begin to notice that you're breathing a little easier, that your body's a little lighter, that something inside you has already shifted. Because you've been carrying these beliefs for so long, these rules, these restrictions, these ideas, that someone else gave you. But have you ever questioned them? Have you asked yourself, who says I have to be nervous? Who says I have to prove myself? Who says I have to be anyone other than who I really am? When you realise that those beliefs, they were never really yours, you realise something even more powerful. You can let them go. Right here, right now. Because the version of you that believed in those old limits no longer exists. And the moment you know that fully, everything changes. Imagine yourself now walking into an interview. But this time, something's different. There's no doubt, no hesitation, no second guessing. Because you own the space completely. You speak with presence, with clarity, with ease. You don't chase approval because you already approve of yourself. You're not hoping for a good outcome. You're creating it. And as you feel that power growing inside you now, as that certainty settles deep into your core, you already know. The next time you step in an interview, it won't be the same experience, because the old version of you is already gone. And the version of you that remains is limitless. Let this shift settle deep into your unconscious. Let it rewrite your reality. When you think about it, isn't it exciting to know that the transformation has already begun?